Soulbound Online does something I never thought would work in an MMO. It takes the kind of chaotic, bullet heaven gameplay you'd expect from a single player roguelite and combines it with this cozy, neo-feudal, sci-fi, Stardew Valley-like style, and then builds an entire MMO around it. And somehow, it actually works. These are not words I expected to be saying together. If you've watched this channel before, you'll know I've played a ridiculous number of bullet heavens. So this immediately got my attention. I've also been playing MMOs for basically my entire life. I was that kid hunting down free-to-play MMOs on Google, dodging viruses like Neo in the Matrix, and sinking hours into games like MapleStory, Endless Online, Forsaken World, and Ether Saga, like the most obscure games of all time. Maybe not MapleStory. All in an attempt to convince myself that I didn't need to get around that World of Warcraft paywall that my parents refused to pay for, that I still hold against them to this day. 2D MMOs especially really hold a soft, cozy place in my heart because that's exactly where I spent my formative years learning about the world with graphics like this. These days I do struggle with MMOs. It's not just that I don't like them anymore, it's that because I understand what it takes to play them, sometimes an MMO is just so intense that you don't have time to play anything else. And that is something that I've just chosen to come away from. It's kind of been years since I've played a new MMO seriously. I do dabble in Guild Wars 2 from time to time. I have bouts of playing and then an extremely long break, forget everything about the game, and then come back and play intensely again for another 6 months or so. So I just want to make clear that I am an MMO player, kind of. It's just that nothing has gripped me in the last few years. So when I stumbled across Soulbound Online during Steam Next Fest, it completely blew me off my feet. Soulbound Online gave me the feeling that I had when I was a kid. That kind of enhanced sense of awe and wonder that you have as a child, that kind of fades away a little bit as you grow into an adult. All of that came back. Walking around a bustling virtual town with everybody running around, going about their business, following quests, when you get a glimpse of somebody really cool walk past you in the most flamboyant fit and carrying some kind of monument of a weapon, but they are mounted or for some reason they're running way faster than you, so you can't look at them for too long. Watching chat scroll by at a blistering pace with people looking for groups, cracking jokes, or looking for help. Passing player shops and houses in town, hearing conversations about dungeons and gear that you don't understand yet. It reminded me of what I loved about MMOs in the first place, the feeling that the world is bigger than what you've seen so far. I honestly didn't know that I could still feel that way. I suppose I have some biases. After all, I have been playing MMOs since I was about 9 or 10 years old. I think my biases include expecting that the story is going to be bland, expecting to be told where to go all the time so I don't need to pay attention, and kind of expecting all the fun to come from late game content and other players. Honestly, I'm not expecting the gameplay to match the intense fun of other genres. I'm expecting some of that fun to be subsidized by the ability to build a character over a long term and build your reputation in a community. All of these other things are just a mandatory roadblock until you get to that point. I understand that those are just my biases as a veteran MMO player. MMOs do have a lot more to offer than that, but the genre has been affected negatively by cash grabs and failed projects. My experience in Soulbound Online reminded me that anomalies do exist, and I'd obviously been a bit too harsh in my evaluation of my experiences in MMOs. So, I'm going to take you through my experience in Soulbound Online, and if you have yet to have yours, it enters early access on Steam on July the 21st, so be sure to wishlist it and hop on in with the rest of us next month. If you like the video, hitting subscribe would mean a lot to me. To quantify that, One like is like 100 cups worth of tea, which for a Brit is the equivalent of ascending to immortality. Thank you so much, and back to the video. A little backstory. We awaken inside a digital universe that feels alive, but insidious. Early in our journey, we encounter the anima, enigmatic and malevolent entities that overwhelm with impossible force. We seem to die, but we are saved somehow, and the entities that saved us are terrified of their deed coming to light. We are then recovered by a robotic rescuer who brings us to Verelda, a safe haven. As a pioneer, we have a lot of work to do before we can stand against the anima again. Unlike most MMOs, all of the combat takes place in instances. There is no combat in the overworld as you're walking around, traveling, or anything like that. In a dungeon, you will fight monsters. Sometimes you can be defending an objective. Enemies will drop XP on the ground, which you can pick up in order to level up. When you level up, you will be given a choice of 3 upgrades. Upgrades can be applied to your weapon, or they can be applied to one of your powers, which can be configured in the open world. Upgrades can do anything from increasing the speed of your weapon's attack, to changing its element, or causing it to spawn a black hole that sucks in enemies. When you kill all the enemies on a floor, you will be given a choice to choose between a few rooms which dictate your reward. Usually, you choose between health or more upgrades, and then you will return to a combat room to repeat the loop until you reach a boss. Just like in single-player bullet heaven games, your upgrades only persist while you're in the dungeon. If you die or complete the dungeon, those incremental upgrades are gone, and you may even lose some gear too if you fail. Most notably, every dungeon run is different, because you will experience various combinations of upgrades that combine together to change combat on the fly. The choice of 3 upgrades are presented to you each time you level up, meaning that even old content in the game can still be run for the heck of it, and you can still have a nice time without accidentally one-shotting everything. And I think regardless of how powerful you are, there is always this sense of adaptability. There is always the possibility that you're presented with upgrades that you just don't want, and having to make do with that. And even if it's your 10th time running the same dungeon, there are still upgrade combinations that you haven't seen yet. There are 10 distinct classes, and the character progression is classless, so you can try a new build at any time. If you want to swap from warrior to healer, no problem, increasing the individual player variance even more. Obviously, in combat your weapon is going to determine your moment-to-moment gameplay, and you have a couple of abilities that you can take along with you too. For example, the sword constantly swings in a cone in the direction of your mouse, whereas the staff will fire a blast towards your cursor and requires a little more aiming. All weapons have upgrades unique to them, like crit chance or AoE radius. You start off a dungeon with your weapon and one ability, but as soon as you hit some level up milestones, your other abilities will unlock alongside them. For example, reaching level 5 will enable your second ability. All of our abilities have multiple modes that they can be set to by clicking on them. There is auto aim and cast, or to auto cast but manual aim, or the ability can be entirely manual, allowing you to forge your own playstyle. If you enjoy playing casually, auto aiming and auto casting is perfectly reasonable, allowing you to focus on movement and upgrade synergies. Whereas more challenging content or certain powers like bombs, black holes or heals may require you to save cooldowns and manually aim them for optimal use. There are a ton of abilities to choose from, and these are really how you stand out in combat. These dungeons can be taken on solo or as a duo or trio, so this is a perfect game to play with a friend, just because it's not asking you to pair up with 7 other people. And I think this is a much more important design choice than it lets on, because a lot of MMOs actually have players that want to play them alone. I know that isn't what you would expect, but that is a large portion of any MMO's player base. And as a player who plays Guild Wars sporadically, there is no guild that wants to keep somebody that disappears for 6 months at a time. So when I return and I have to find 5 other people who won't judge my knowledge of the dungeon, it does lock me out of doing that content, at least temporarily until I come across the right bunch. I think the content being soloable or having the majority of the content maxed out in groups of 3 is actually a really important design choice for a game like this that is emulating a single player formula in Bullet Heavens. Though I can't speak on this too much, as I hear there are 5+ player raids also for the community driven players. Because all the fighting takes place in instances, the overworld seems very reserved for the most chill vibes. After all, there are no monsters to chase you or PK zones where you can lose all of your gear. So when you're in the overworld, rest assured you are completely safe to live out your cozy dreams. If the dungeons are where the chaos lies, the overworld is where the harmony lies. I can imagine if I played this with my wife, she would gladly spend most of her time here, planting flowers, sorting out her player housing, and chatting with friends. She would have every resource we need and all the crafting stations decked out, upgraded, and ready to go. And I would gladly run the dungeon 10 times over. But I actually think, for a casual gamer like my wife, both sides of the game are equally appealing just because of the chosen genre and the accessibility. Dungeons are the main place where we're going to get loot, but you can actually get loot in the open world too, via foraging, mining, hacking, farming, and fishing, which all have their own crafting lines of tools to craft and gate progression. We are given player housing very early in the game, which you can deck out in a style that suits you and set up some much needed crafting tables in order to forge your gear. As I was running around, I was sure that I came across player houses on the outskirts of the town, and player shops too. The world really did feel bustling with life. This game has 50,000 wish lists in 4 weeks, so they must be doing something right. As you farm, forage, mine, hack, and fish, you bolster yourself to face the dungeons once again. You have a skill level for all of these activities, and you gain experience points by participating in the associated tasks. Every life skill feeds back into your progression, with cooking restoring stamina, gathering unlocking crafting materials for gear, and mining unlocking crafting stations to build the weapons that define your class, and so much more. Here are some extra things that I may have missed. So first of all, there is a ton of cosmetics. I saw a bunch of players with all different styles. Don't know how monetization works, so I'm not going to talk about that yet. We're just going to have to wait and see. There are 10 distinct ability classes with branching relic paths that lead to 100+ unique build combos per run. Classless character progression, a deep crafting ecosystem, full player housing, and a very looming, mystery-driven narrative that genuinely had my attention. At some points, I do still zone out a bit when doing MMO quests, my bad. All wrapped up in a delicately handmade pixel art world. I am genuinely excited to be a part of the community and for what's to come in the future. Speaking of the future, here are some things that they have planned in their roadmap. Weekly live events, an auction house, a guild system, large group raids, and multi-phase encounters that require real coordination. Steam Deck support. This is literally the perfect game for the Steam Deck, by the way. Literally perfect. Controller support, which the entire time I was thinking, if this game ever makes it to consoles, it will really be a banger. Get this game controller support, get it cross-play, and its success is almost guaranteed. A relationship system with NPCs, a ton of cosmetics. This game seems very cosmetic forward, and I'm assuming cosmetics are going to be their main way of monetizing this experience. And multiple area expansions. There is a lot more. I wish the dev team all the best with bringing this world to life. So far they've done a great job. I really had a good time. I was playing alone, and at the time I was playing, people seemed to be running dungeons that were much later in progression than I was, so I didn't get to do a run with anyone, but I also didn't ask in chat. I'm an introvert in real life, and I'm an introvert in the game too, I guess. I definitely feel like I would have received help if I did ask, so the community is an absolute vibe too, and that means a lot for an MMO. I think I've been converted back to an MMO lover. I think I'm going to go back and check out Guild Wars 2 again. Are there any new MMOs out there that I should check out? Let me know down in the comments. If you liked the video, thank you very much. This is one of the longest scripts I have ever wrote, so you being here at this point in the video means a ton. Subscribe and I promise you good RNG in your dating life and every loot box you'll ever open. Peace, 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 peace.